Hey guys, my name is Curtis Burbs-Burby with Royal LePage. I'm excited to say that I've got a unique listing out here in Quesnel Lake, and it's owned by Joe and Wendy. Joe owns Icon Homes in Cornell. We're going to take you through today a little bit of a tour of the drive out there and a little bit of my day-to-day business, and it's even going to be a little bit educational. So stay tuned and check out Cariboo Listings. Hey Joe, how's it going today?
Good, Curtis. How are you?
Good, really good. I'm actually just sitting at my computer here, and I'm just kind of going through some of that information you had given me on the lake lot. So I was just checking it out here on the mapping program. So I guess at this point, you guys are ready to go. You're ready to list?
Yeah, I think we want to pull the trigger and get a listing done. So what's our next step?
Excellent, great. Well, let me just check my calendar here real quick and make sure I can do it here. I think we were kind of shooting for Saturday, right?
This coming Saturday? Yeah, that works fine.
Perfect. Okay, let's book it in for 11 a.m. if that works for you.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get out there ahead of time, and we'll be there when you get there.
Excellent. Well, I really look forward to it. I love that area, so I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait to show you.
Awesome. Thanks. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Okay.
All right.
You bet.
Bye.
Hello?
Hi, Lisa. Good morning. It's Curtis.
Hi, how are you?
Good. You?
Pretty good, pretty good. What can I do for you, my dear?
Well, I think the overnight sleep there helped the buyer. They're just going to move forward.
You're going to go with it with the 500 included?
Yeah, they're not going to change anything. They're just going to sign it as is.
Thank God. I was sitting there outside and I'm thinking, okay, I browsed 3 cords this year. I browsed 2 cords last year, and we cut down a cord. Now that was on split.
Yeah.
Each one of them was $150. And I'm thinking, they want the whole lot for 500? Forget it.
It's all,
so I have a sold house.
Only in the Cariboo do we negotiate on cords of wood.
Well, this is fantastic news. Just wonderful.
There you go.
Sigh of relief. Now I can carry on with getting things done. Okay, dear. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much,
You
Lisa.
take care.
Yeah, enjoy this beautiful day. It's a nice one.
Oh, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. We're getting close now. So we're here at just one of the stops on the way along our trip here today. It's the Boolean Pit Mine, supposedly world famous. I'd never heard of it until I actually came here, but it's pretty neat. They have the big water cannons like they do in Barkerville, where channeled water actually down right where we're standing. There's some wooden gates here, and they channel the water down into these control gates. And apparently these control gates would control how much water they were getting at the bottom. And at the bottom they had these giant water cannons. They were actually called hydraulic monitors, and they'd blast that water at the hill, and they let all the dirt come down, and then they would allow that dirt to come into like a wash basin to wash the rock, and that's how they get gold out of it. And they found that this area in 1859 originally. They were hauling out 7 ounces of gold a day out of a creek that runs into the Cornell River here, and that's what triggered the mining here. So that's just a little interesting piece of the Cariboo history here at the Bullion Pit Mine. Getting close to our destination now as we enter beautiful Likely, BC, situated where the Quesnel Lake drains into the Cornell River. Although you can drive to this listing, it was way more fun to bring the boat. This way we could get in some play with our work, and we went out fishing.
Well done, Gus.
Well done.
It's your fish. Yeah, hold it. You gotta hold it. Oh, it's going now. He's okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
And here we are at our destination Lot C Hart Trail. Here we are greeted by our wonderful hosts Joe and Wendy on their large dock.
Hey there, Al. Hi, Joe. Hey, good to see you. Thank you.
Cornell Lake is a glacial lake or fjord in British Columbia, Canada, with a maximum depth of 511 meters. It is claimed to be the deepest fjord lake in the world. It lies approximately 2 hours from Cornell and 1.5 hours from Williams Lake. We have to make sure you guys have a really good understanding of what we do for you and what our duties are to you guys. Okay. So we're supposed to discuss that at the earliest time in the relationship before we get into clients or a client-agent relationship. Just so you have a good understanding of it, and you'll have to sign to say that you acknowledge that we had this discussion and that you understand it and you don't have any questions. So feel free to ask questions. So, when you guys just hire me to list your house here, I have some duties to you, and my overarching, be all end all, most important duty is always loyalty. So, I am obligated to provide you with 100% loyalty. I have to put your interests ahead of my own. So basically, I'm standing in front of you, I'm going to take all the bullets, and you're hiring me to help save you time. It's a convenience factor, and then also to protect you and make sure that we don't end up in real estate jail. So
It could happen. Oh my God, I didn't know there was one.
there you go. Full disclosure. So anything that I know about the transaction, I have an obligation to disclose to you. So I can't hold any secrets at all. I have to avoid your conflicts of interest. So this is a big one now. As of June 2018, one of the rules they changed was making this mandatory, but they also made it so that we could no longer practice limited dual agency. So basically, in a single transaction, we can only handle one side of the transaction, whether that be buyer or seller, doesn't matter, but it can only be one. So if you're going to list with me, you kind of clamp me down. I'm your guy that's going to be looking out for your best interests. Now I might have a buyer that comes along and wants to buy this house. If I do, it's a little bit of a gray area. I can probably let them through the door as long as they understand that I'm representing you and that they wouldn't have representation in this situation. And if they decided they wanted to make an offer, they have two options. They can be a non-client, which is kind of explained in more detail there, but basically you get none of these duties. Mm-hmm. And the easiest way to understand what a non-client is and what the risks are is it's kind of like getting arrested. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And if you're okay with that, then you can represent yourself and we can move forward. So I can still double end. I just can't practice limited dual agency. So I can't give you both agency at the same time. So in most situations, the natural way of things is we're signing a listing agreement. You guys are listing your home with me. And so the natural way of things is we've already signed basically like a marital agreement. Our relationship is kind of married together. And so it just makes sense that I would retain you. So most of my buyers, I do explain that, if I'm in that situation with a seller, the natural way of things is I would probably refer you out. And I give my buyers that heads up. But again, if they're not okay with that, like if they decide, no, we're kind of worried because you're experienced and we're not. Like, what happens if you take advantage of us? Well, the answer is we take advantage of you. That's my job. It's my job. That's
why we're hiring you.
That's right. I'm trying to take advantage of you to help my seller out and get the best terms. So, if you're not okay with that, then option number 2 is you need your own agent or notary lawyer, whoever you think is going to represent you in the best way, shape, or form. So,
does that change anything for us, Curtis, if they get an agent as well?
Not really. Okay. No, because in the listing agreement, there's a fee that will preset for paying the listing agent out of the proceeds of sale. Okay. So it really doesn't change much of anything, other than the conflict is resolved because there's no longer conflict among the one agent. So, confidentiality is the last thing. So anything you tell me, we have to follow Privacy Act law. So we got to keep anything you tell me confidential. There's certain things that might get shared through the process of MLS, like your sale price gets showed on the, it gets advertised on the MLS website when it does sell, that kind of stuff. Oh. But your personal info, like phone numbers, emails, that kind of stuff, it's all. Just need an acknowledgement to say that we had this discussion and that you guys understand what we discussed. So, Joe, we'll start with you, just initial.
You're our man.
Awesome.
That's the thing, right?
I'm clamped down. I'm yours. Yep. Now, there are situations that, maybe it wouldn't work for me to...
before she signs,
to represent you. I mean, there could be situations like in an event that, I don't know, maybe I had a buyer that said, I want to buy that house, but I'm only using you, like for whatever reason. I haven't had that happen yet, but if it did, I could come to you guys and say, you know what, I have a buyer. He said he's serious, he's got the money, but he said the only way he's using it is if I represent him. So then I could ask you if you're okay with being represented by another party, right? And I would just refer you out.
I see.
And if I have a client that buys the property and they're okay with being unrepresented or being referred out, you still have to accept that. So you might say, well, because he's your client, like how well do you know this guy? And, if you think that the conflict's too great, even if he's working with someone else, because I'm still trying to maybe favoring him in some way, shape, or form, you can actually, you don't have to accept that. So we can refer both parties out. I have to actually step away and recuse myself from the entire situation. So there's lots of different situations that can play out, but it's all about transparency. That's it. It's all about just making sure that you have informed consent.
Good. Right. Okay, great.
After we finished up with the listing agreement, Joe had a quick story about why they had purchased this property. Check it out.
One of my favorite parts of the property, and this is the remnants of, I believe, one of the cabins, And the first time we came out here to look at this property, we wandered out onto this bench and found this, and the sun was shining on it. It just was one of those perfect moments, and that was kind of the catalyst for us to decide to put our cabin here.
Welcome to the interior of Hart Cabin. Come take a look inside. We will take you through some of the features, and Joe and Wendy will share some of their interesting stories about this build.
Originally, we had a cabin down the lake that we were at, and a friend of ours who was a realtor at the time told us about this piece of property. And it had a road into it, so it appealed to us because we could drive here. So we came over and we checked it out and decided to buy it. And then we were working towards starting to build a cabin here, and we had a plan for kind of a normal building.
Construction like usual.
Yeah, and some friends of ours who live down the lake have a woodlot, and they said, oh, we've got this great idea that we want to try for some of our oversized timber. And so they came up with this structure. It was a prototype that they wanted to try out. So they built it on their property, and then we were...
So this was using logs that they couldn't use for their other work that they sold for bridging and things like that. So these were timbers that were a little checked, different, and
Twisted.
we figured out a way to mill them to be 20 inches by 12 inches thick, and that's what this. And so this was a way for them to utilize this wood that they already had down that they wouldn't have been able to use. So they used us as guinea pigs and said, we're going to help you figure out how to build this building, and we'll do the logs, and all the dovetails were done by one of the brothers. It's two brothers, and an amazing job was done at that.
And so the same brothers, we were ready to put the road in.
Because they talked us into this project. They felt responsible, so they volunteered to put the road in for us because they knew how to do that too. They pushed for it all the time.
We borrowed a bulldozer from a friend, and the boys came out, and in a week they pushed the road in, cut all the trees back, and got it all done.
Having the solar panels, there's 2 solar panels on the roof that feed the batteries. We've got 2 batteries that get charged, and you can tell more about that. But what it means to me is that in a cabin out in the wilderness, there can be lights. Let there be lights.
Radio.
And what else?
Charge your phone.
Charge your phone, yeah.
Not that you can use it.
No, can't use your phone. But it's, like I said, just having the actual lights feels like a very sophisticated feature in my mind, because the other cabin was very rustic and only had the hissy propane lights or coal oil lanterns, which I brought one to keep and remember.
So the other things we love about this place are obviously the big open spaces. But the giant logs are to me the most amazing part of it. Is that the walls are 12 feet tall and there's only 7 logs. It's pretty amazing. Lots of big windows. Thanks to a friend of ours, we put all these windows came from a salvage except for the 2 up in the peak there. And we were gonna not have any windows up there, or small square ones, and a friend of ours suggested that, and it was such a great idea. They follow the slope of the ceiling and they let lots of morning light in. It's just awesome. We have running water. It's a cistern that we have to fill.
Gravity feed.
But it's also set up so that water could be pumped out of the lake. We just don't use that feature ourselves, but we just bring it out with us when we come. So we've got hot and cold running water, propane.
On-demand hot water.
Yeah, on-demand water heater, propane stove and fridge that we bought brand new when we started here, composting toilet, and then we also have an outhouse with an awesome view. It's got to be experienced. And that actually came from when I was 16. I came out to British Columbia for the first time and was staying with my brother in Salt Spring Island. And one of his old hippie friends had a place way off in the wilderness, and we went there, and he had an outhouse. You climbed up a set of stairs and you sat in it, and in your view was a panoramic view of the ocean. And it just always struck with me, so I always wanted to do something similar to that.
And I'm really glad about that because I hate outhouses. And definitely if they're closed in and dark or any of that, not my style. So this definitely feeds both those needs.
It does, yeah.
Yes.
It's also set on a pressure-treated foundation. So we put in a proper foundation on this. Obviously concrete was out of the question, there's no way to get it here. And so, we started with a good base, and it's been like this ever since.
I love the skylights because it makes the place very, very bright and open, considering a lot of log houses are quite dark and not nearly as brightly lit as this.
My favorite part about being out here is that I can just completely turn off. Phones don't work. We are going to get internet service so we can have a phone if we need it, but in general, they don't work. It's super quiet. The minute I get here, I instantly relax, and I sleep like nowhere else.
And I think one of the things that I love the most about out here is the forest that we're in is a interior rainforest, and it smells like a forest that it's not like in Cornell. It's you can smell the cedar, you can smell all the different trees. And I can.
You can. Yeah, I can't smell anything.
But for me, it brings the scent of a wilderness experience. And of course, the lake's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a fantastic lake. There's that.
Beautiful. Just picture perfect. Hi, and thanks for watching our show today. If you have a unique home in the Cariboo with a bit of a story to tell, give me a call. Maybe we can feature yours on the next episode.